We're doing it again. We're back. We are so back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Mcdonald's Chase. Okay? Mcdonald's Chase. Punkhouse. Okay? Um, how y'all doing? How's everything? How is your weekend? How was your weekend? What did you do? Are you excited for the holidays? For the first time, I think this year I am. I am excited. I talked about it before, but I am actually looking forward to it for the first time in a minute. Just with how shitty the year has been. And I mean, it hasn't been that shitty, but it's just rough out here. You know what I'm saying? It's just rough out here, so I'm looking forward to taking some time off. Okay, so couple of things I watched. Yeah, couple of things I watched. Some news to get into. First and foremost, the killing of the CEO, the assassination, I guess, has been caught and identified as a guy named Luigi. Just a man trailing NYC looking for his Mario. And then happened to come across a CEO and was like, you know what, I gotta have a 2-for-1 before I go into the green big giant green pipes to find Mario. I'm just gonna go ahead and off this CEO guy, because why not? Which is funny because it's like for a while I thought this was going to be like a I don't know, this was going to be like a like a spy game or like a Usual Suspects kind of thing where it's like the killer's like gonna leave like little like breadcrumbs or bread trails, like kind of like Riddler style, and like giving riddles and stuff. Because like, dude, the guy like had a backpack in Central Park, and the cops found the backpack that he ditched, and it had Monopoly money in it. And at some point, I was like, oh, there's no way that this dude is just like, he is just clowning on them. And then literally hours later, they caught the fucking guy at a McDonald's by an employee at McDonald's who probably, by the way, don't even have like health insurance. And if they do, it's coming out of their pay like tremendously. So it's like they're gonna either have less wage and have health insurance, or they have their regular salary, which is not much, but they don't have health insurance. Like, I remember, like, I don't know, like years ago working in retail. For a while I thought like, oh, I need to fight for health insurance and make sure that I'm always going to be covered no matter what. And I just like I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'm sure you guys a lot of you probably have this same sentiment. But like, if I know I can keep more money in my paycheck, and I know that I, could keep my salary the way that it is and not get worse, I'm just going to opt for that instead of just, oh, I'm going to, take in the fucking, medical insurance. Even though, I do need it. Everyone needs it. But the fact that we have to pay a huge premium just to have it, and also you're not guaranteed that you're going to be covered the entire time, is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And this McDonald's employee, like, I mean, listen, I'm sure they were paid. I'm glad that they got paid. I hope they got, I read somewhere that they didn't get the $50K from the FBI manhunt, which is insane. If that's true, I am doubly heartbroken, because like, that's the only reason why you would rat on a assassination like that, if you know that you're going to get that $50K, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll rat for $50K. Seriously. Everybody has a price, but if that is the case, that this employee did not get that $50K, I mean, boy, oh boy, what are we doing? What are we fucking doing here? That's insane. I don't understand that, but what the fuck? What the fuck do I know? You know what I mean? Oh, God. Luigi Mangione. You know what I mean? The least Italian the least Italian name I've ever heard in my life, you know? I mean, whatever. The message still stands though, right? You know what I mean? Like the message is still there. It's still like CEOs aren't off the hook. They're not just, we can't now just clown on this Luigi dude and then, the fucking CEOs could be like, "Oh, thank God. Oh my God. Finally, we can rest. Oh man. Oh, I was so scared. I was so scared. Every day. Constantly looking over my shoulder wondering, well, what's gonna happen to me? Oh no." When we all know nothing's gonna happen, but they should be scared. They should be scared, knowing that people are capable and able to do that. It's not. I mean, I don't want to be cringe. I don't want to be whatever. But to quote, I think it was V for Vendetta. Yeah, I think it was V for Vendetta, that you may kill the person, but you cannot kill an idea. The idea is more powerful than any person who lives. Which is a strong statement, and that's why I don't think that this shit is going to really end. So that's why I think it's still relatively a good thing that CEOs and the public and a lot of people are talking about this. And, collectively understanding that the system that we live in is just, it's not working for you. It's not working for me. It's not working for most people, unless you are like of a completely, different tax bracket than most of us, then I'm sure things are just a little easier for you. But like for us brokies, yeah. Free healthcare just sounds like a fairy tale in America, despite that it's available in most countries, in a lot of countries. Maybe not most, but you know what I mean. All right. So one thing I did see this morning that I thought was very, I don't know, like it was like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, of course, of course this was going to happen. So I guess I can pull it up on yeah, I'll pull it up on Twitter. Fuck it. I'll show y'all. So this was posted earlier this morning, and I remember reading this. So Culture Crave says that Sony Pictures is not currently working on any more Spider-Man spinoffs. They are now only focused on Spider-Man 4, Spider-Verse, and Spider-Noir. And Kraven the Hunter is a final film in the Spider-Man universe for Sony. Yeah, I don't know how else to feel about it other than that, like, duh, because this shit ain't generating any money. And as much as people want to take, Madam Web and Morbius and, at least those two films as like the most memeable fucking movies ever to come out. Yeah, you're only going to shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, I don't even think Sony really shot themselves in the foot. They fucking blasted their whole goddamn leg off. Like, this is, like, especially the Morbius thing. Like, the one thing that I felt like was so pointless and so, like, it made my eyes roll when, all of the Rotten Tomato bombings of review bombings of Morbius, and so many people saying, like, memeing that this film changed their life. This is the most incredible film they've ever witnessed. This is Jared Leto at his peak performance and comparing it to Citizen Kane, which, sure, in retrospect is kind of funny, but like when you deal with the studio who depends on reviews like that shit and people responding with their wallets and in buying tickets and whatnot, the curiosity was the thing that sold it the most, along with the meme of it, right? It's like, this is a horrible movie. Well, we got to watch this. We got to get baked. We got to get drunk. And we just, got to see this fucking movie, which, listen, like, it's the only way to enjoy those films. I agree. But the problem isn't necessarily with those review bombs as much as it's just the studios, Sony in particular, going, you know what? I have a genius idea. Let's bring Morbius for a second weekend, And no one in that boardroom was like, I don't think they were serious about this. And of course it fucking flopped the second time they brought in the weekend, or the second weekend for Morbius, It didn't make anything. And then now that they're saying that, the Spider-Man spinoffs they're not going to happen anymore, is just like, yeah, of course it didn't. You know what I mean? It just, of course it did not. It did not work at all, So that's not to say that they're not going to release like Spider-Man shit. I mean, Spider-Noir. Can we talk about Spider-Noir? This is the most confusing ass shit. I did see some of the set photos. I did see Nick Cage, on some of those set photos. And I'm still beyond perplexed. Listen, I love Spider-Noir in the Spider-Verse films. I think, that character is hilarious. I think it's good. Do I think there should be a whole show? I mean, it was a comic series, sure, but like, I don't know if it was that big of a comic run. I'm not super familiar with Spider-Noir. Spider-Ham and the Amazing Friends, who are all also animals, rendition of other Marvel characters as animals. I've definitely read those, and I thought I Peter Porker is, I feel like there would be more more curiosity, more interest in that than Spider-Noir, but I don't know shit about fuck. So, if Spider-Noir is really going to hit, I will be not only pleasantly surprised, but I will definitely like rethink the way that I see potential like good shows that can come out of Marvel, in particular like the Spider-Verse series, because the Spider-Verse is just so fucking, if y'all have ever seen the animated Spider-Verse films, that the world is so huge and vast that it is ripe for storytelling. And I hope that Spider-Man 4 either utilizes that or just make it a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man film, which I kind of prefer a little more. I hope they make it a neighborhood film, but I've seen, countless other articles saying, or contradicting each other, saying that it will be a neighborhood film, from Kevin Feige, but then like Sony would be like, no, this is gonna be more time traveling shit. We're gonna make this big, So I don't fucking know. I don't know shit about anything other than that. I'm excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. It's just, I just wish and hope that I wish and hope that it won't fail. That's all I hope for, because I was fucking juiced with Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know if that came out this year or last year, but it is It is really good. If y'all have not seen the Spider-Verse films, the animated Spider-Verse films, it is, I mean, if you have ever been a Spider-Man fan, ever read any Spider-Man comic, you will have a fucking blast with Spider-Man. Or if you're not, you just like a good superhero story, Into the Spider-Verse is a fantastic superhero story. What else is there other than that? Yeah, I mean, Craven, we'll see. I don't know. Like, Craven is notorious for like killing animals and shit like that in the comic books, so I don't know how well it's gonna receive in like all the audience. The trailer does seem pretty crazy. Venom. Venom is also another one of those Spider-Verse things. I have not seen Venom 3. Honestly, I have watched half of the first Venom film, I gotta admit. I've only watched half of the first Venom. Oh no. I did eventually finish it. It's just, it was one of those things where like it feels like a 90s like romp, like action romp, like a buddy cop but with a symbiote, and I don't think it was horrible. I didn't have an opinion on it. I just left the film just like, all right, yeah, that was Venom, I guess. I guess I just am gonna watch CNN now and move on with my fucking day. Like, I didn't know what to take from it, like, at all. And again, it's not to say that like Tom Hardy or the writers or any of the directors who worked on it, were bad in any way. I know it, like, they did good along with Tom Hardy. It's just for whatever reason it didn't leave that mark with me. I don't know why. I just, I watched it and I was like, okay, I guess, So, yeah, I mean, Craven, we'll see. Morbius was just, woof, and Madam Web was also a major woof. But I got to be honest with you, I don't even remember a single frame of Madam Web. Like, I don't know if I just did everything I possibly can, because I remember watching it. I remember seeing it. I remember sitting down and watching it. I remember the first frame of the film where they're in the Amazon in the forest and the lady was pregnant with Madam Web. And then I remember the end with all the heroes and, Madam Web getting in that Professor X kind of getup, showing up and predicting everyone's thing or whatever, which was also the other thing too. It's like Madam Web is not a prominent character in the Spider-Man like comic universe. I'm sure she is a lot more, or like in other universes, but like in the comics, in the limited comics that I have read, she was not like the most prominent character. She kind of pops up here and there helping out Peter, in some way, shape, or form, but that's as far as it went, Not to say that there could never be a Madam Web film. I'm sure in a world there can be, but in a world where we are just introduced to the concept of Spider-Verse films, and there are literally hundreds of Spider-Man characters, between villains to other Spider people, there are plenty of ways to make, a film around that. Like, I would make a film noir, a Spider noir film, film noir film. I would make that into a film for sure. Do I see it as a series? I mean, sure. Like, I don't know. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose. But that's not to say that, like, I'm sure the series will probably do well. It'll probably do good in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I don't know. Madam Web was just like, I literally have no recollection. I Men in Black like flashbanged myself, and I just have no recollection of that film. And Morbius was just like a. I don't even want to get into it. It was just like like my least favorite comic book character, and the least the least want out of any Spider-Man villain ever. Like, I would have gone with Rhino for a whole ass movie. You know what I mean? Like, give me Paul Giamatti in that fucking, Rhino suit in Amazing Spider-Man with Garfield. Dude, give me that as a whole movie. I mean, Paul Giamatti in anything. You just give it to me. You know what I mean? I would love to see that guy just fucking romping around, New York City, taking down the Daily Bugle and shit like that. Like, I would love to see that shit. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I just, there's really not much else to say other than that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Spider-Man 4. I did like the third Spider-Man film with Tom Holland and everyone else. Of course, I loved it because like it's like my childhood coming to life all over again. Same with the Into the Spider-Verse films, right? Like, I'm sure narratively, like, it probably goes all over the place. And I haven't seen it like a ton of times. I think I've seen it like 2 times, I think, maybe 3. But it's just like, I'm very biased. Like, of course I'm going to say that it's fantastic because it's just like, the first Spider-Man, I mean, I've seen live action is Tobey Maguire. Like, that's the dude. That's the fucking guy. It's what introduced me to Sam Raimi. And I went back and watched Quick and the Dead and the Evil Dead series. Like, the guy's a masterful filmmaker, right? But and same with Toby. Toby is a fantastic actor. Kind of nuts. I've heard. I don't know. He might not be nuts, but like, I've heard stories. But yeah, I think that the Spider-Man lore, the whole universe is so vast and so ripe for storytelling. It's almost like as if Sony was like, yeah, let's take the worst heroes and make the films out of them. Like, I would say Kraven, out of all the movies, maybe next to Venom, and I would have stopped probably at Venom 2, maybe. I don't know if I'm going to see Venom 3. I might, if it's somewhere streaming. But Kraven is like the only one that I can say to be like, okay, maybe you could do a film with that, but Kraven's really fucking violent, like really violent. So I don't know how that's gonna happen. Will I see it? Of course I will see it. What are you, nuts? Of course I would see it. But I have to now walk into most of these superhero films with like the biggest grain of salt. And I mean, I don't have enough podcasts to talk about the Doomsday shit because I know, like, I think they like announced like the filming schedule or whatever, to film Doomsday. I don't know. RDJ coming back as Doctor Doom. I don't. That's for another podcast. That's for another podcast. But for this one, at least for today, we got to talk about. Oh, and there's the Golden Globe nominate. Fuck, there's so much to talk about. God damn it. I watched last night. I watched Saturday Night. Live from my living room in Austin, Texas. It's Saturday night. So I'll give my non-spoiler for Saturday night. So the non-spoiler for Saturday night, it all revolves around the last 2 hours before showtime for the first official taping of Saturday Night Live, which has like all of the band of comedians and sketch comedy people from the likes of Dan Aykroyd, Gilda Radner, Lorraine Newman, Jane Curtin, Chevy Chase, of course, Garrett Morris, like all of these cavalcade of comedic performances, all kind of like coming together, along with George Carlin and Billy Preston as like the musical guest and stuff. Like they were all there, and for those like myself who really enjoyed the old Saturday Night Live stuff, and I've watched Saturday Night Live since the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler weekend updates, and that's what got me to like fall in love with those two. I never seen 30 Rock, which is insane because I know I would love that show, but I just never got around to it. But I love Parks and Rec. But way before then, even when Fallon was on Saturday Night Live, like he was great. He actually was great. I know a lot of people want to clown on that, but him. I mean, Jimmy Fallon with Justin Timberlake as the Bee Gees is like fucking. It's classic. I love that shit. It was funny to me, but yeah, I think it captured what was the atmosphere of Saturday Night Live for those who love Saturday Night Live, and for those who are in Saturday Night Live. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a very meta film because Jason Reitman, who co-wrote with Gil Kenan, Gil Kenan, who co-wrote the film Saturday Night with Jason, I think wrote a sketch or participated in some sort of writing in Saturday Night, and he talked about it in the promos I've seen, that like the energy the last 2 hours of before airing is always chaotic. It's always like some shit is going on. There's a llama and Abe Lincoln standing somewhere, which it's a neat little inside joke, I guess. And it definitely captured that. It 100% captured it. My only there's a couple of criticisms. One I'll save for the spoiler section of it, but the one for the non-spoiler, I will say that like if you are not a Saturday Night Live fan, you might watch this film. I'm curious what people actually would take this film away with, because like I feel like all the characters, if you don't know how funny they are, and the actors capture that personality like completely. But if you're not familiar with some of these actors or actresses, it might feel like a little like, okay, this is like so many things happening all at once. And I think, of course, that's the point of it, right? Because it's a real-time film, so it's like all taking place within minutes of each other, between each scene and whatnot, which is cool. I think that's an interesting way of filmmaking. I do like that sort of time crunch type of shit. I'm a big fan of 24. Jack Bauer does a lot of shit in 24 hours, let me tell you. Okay. Yeah, I think that this film definitely lent itself to bottling the nostalgia of Saturday Night Live, and delivering it in a way that feels like it's energetic. Like there's some electricity like rolling through it, and yeah, I think it was pretty good. The story with Lorne and how and why he started Saturday Night Live is part of this, which I thought was very touching, is very moving. But overall, I do feel like it's very inside baseball. I do feel like it's very inside baseball. Do I think it's film of the year? I don't think so. However, it is a good movie. it is a good movie. As a dude who have watched Saturday Night Live and watched the old Saturday Night Live, I still have the DVD. I don't know. It's in a box somewhere in my garage, and it'll take days before I would find it. But I did have the box set of Chris Farley, best of Chris Farley and Saturday Night Live, and that was the first time I've ever seen Chris Farley was on Saturday Night Live. Was the disgruntled salesman who lives in a van down by the river. It's been quoted so many times, and I love it. David Spade, fantastic. Adam Sandler, with the Hanukkah song is great. It's just it launched 1,000 ships for so many comedians and so many actors. I mean, Adam Sandler, So Chris Farley, of course, David Spade, Rob Schneider, and a lot of others too. Even Robert Downey Jr. was on Saturday Night Live for a minute, I think, before it shut down and then it came back again. I think the film is pretty interesting. So if you do like Saturday Night Live, and you are familiar with like the first cast of Saturday Night Live with Aykroyd and Chevy Chase and Belushi and all that, I think this film is fantastic. So now we're getting into the spoiler territory of it all. I'm like I said, I'm a bit actually. You know what? Hold on, I'm gonna grab something. Give me 1 second. As a guy who says that he doesn't collect things, I do have quite a few records. And this is like whenever I go like record shopping, it's usually like the dollar bin shit, right? Which is like for the most part like the shit that you would absolutely find 100. Like you would find some pretty cool shit. Here in Austin, there's a few good record stores, even thrift shops that have records too. They have quite a collection, but most of the collection that I got came from Rasputin in Berkeley, California, where I, just like 40 minutes east of Oakland, I think. In a little town called Castro Valley. Moved quite a few times, but like most of the time I was in the Bay Area until the last few years of me in the Bay. I moved outside of it, but I've always gone to the Bay, and like my sister and I would always take a weekend whenever we don't have work, and we would just hang out and get some Blondie's pizza and go and record shop. Like it was kind of our thing. So I'm a huge fan of Blues Brothers. So of course I have the first briefcase full of blues. I think this is their first album, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this is like a classic Aykroyd, Belushi, and this started off in I think it only had like 1 or 2 episodes in Saturday Night Live with the Blues Brothers. I think I think this is just like a classic record if you do enjoy the Blues Brothers like I do. And a little fun fact, all these guys here, most of them like are in the movie of the Blues Brothers, which if you haven't seen the Blues Brothers, the movie, what are you doing with your life? It is by and large one of the best comedies like ever. And the behind the scenes of it, I would say the podcast Total Shit Show, I think, where they break down like all of like the crazy shit that happens on this film set is hilarious, and it's mind-boggling, like the shit that they got away with. Briefcase Full of Blues is a certified classic. That's a non-negotiable. All right, and then their second record. I think the year after the film and Briefcase Full of Blues came out was Made in America. And I actually enjoyed this a lot, which, by the way, another fun fact, these guys who are in the band, in the Blues Brothers band, I think maybe not all, but most were from Booker T and the MGs. So if you don't know Booker T and the MGs, you know the hook, Green Onions, you know, ba-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, you know, you know it when you hear it. You know it's like the most memeable like song ever, you know. Fantastic record, certified classic, you know. I enjoy it quite a bit. So, yeah, I mean, you know, that's the Blues Brothers, which is not on Saturday night, which I was a little bummed about because like I didn't know the film with Saturday night was going to be like a, you know, like I didn't know that it was going to be in real time. Like I thought we were going to get like little hints of like how they're going to make the sketches and how they wrote, you know, like some of the bits and whatnot. And like you see, like if you guys are big fans of it, you'll see like a quick frame of all the index cards that Lorne kind of looks at like as like a board of like all the sketches all written down on index cards. And you'd see like all of like the old bits like Jaws 2 and I think Gilda's Take or like Gilda's Take, I think, which is like classic sketches. And yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of classic shit that like little Easter eggs, you know, in the film that are fantastic. You know, it's just, again, it's like you have so many of these like actors and actresses who are so good at their craft, like phenomenal at their craft, only to just kind of like Gilda Radner and Jane Curtin. Like those are the two characters that I felt like, oh my God, they're so funny. Why don't we see more of them? Like every time they are on screen and they do have like screen time, it's great. Like, you know, the actresses who play them are electric. They're phenomenal. But it was mostly like you see a lot of like, you know, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and Garrett Morris, who are all fantastic in their own right. And Belushi, of course, which is another thing too. It's like the way that they wrote Belushi is kind of like this aloof kind of like character, like this standoffish kind of like shy guy, until like, you know, cameras are rolling and then he kind of like turns on the switch, and like he does have kind of like a through line, but like I don't know, it was like the whole bit of like it's not a bit, it was a plot line between Lorne and Belushi, where Belushi just did not want to sign the contract because then it's like he is going to be censored by NBC, which of course, you know, it's an NBC show. It's on primetime television. Well, not primetime, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a late night show. You know, you can only get away with so much in a, you know, a network like NBC, right? Which, you know, at that time was still ran by like Milton Berle and, you know, you see Dave Tebbutt too, played by Willem Dafoe, phenomenal, who plays as like this NBC executive, you know, who just is kind of like the overseer of things and kind of like poking at Lorne Michaels about like all the mishaps and all the loopholes and shit like that. And, you know, Lorne throughout the movie, Lorne Michaels, played by Gabriel LaBelle, who played Steven Spielberg in The Fabelmans. He did fantastic as Lorne Michaels. He the whole time throughout the film, he couldn't define what Saturday Night Live is, because you can't just like, because he didn't like the thought of like, oh, it's just a sketch show. It's like, well, it's not just a sketch show. There's a lot going on. and that's the whole idea of New York City, is that like everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, you always see something going on, whether it's music, whether it's comedy, whether it's just people hanging out, chain smoking cigs, whatever it is, there's always something going on. There's always life happening in New York. Which is fascinating. Like it's a great little kind of full circle moment with that character. But I can't say the same for most of the other characters, right? Like the women of Saturday Night Live, and it didn't and again, like the choices of John Belushi of like kind of being this aloof character. I never really saw him as that aloof. I just saw him as like, he's kind of quiet, kept to himself, but like, he's funny just by existing, just by him being in front of camera, not saying a word is so funny. Like even in the Blues Brothers, like there are moments in the Blues Brothers where he just wouldn't say a word and I would just die laughing. Like when they went to the dive bar and, Belushi is just kind of like, they're playing the theme song of Rawhide because they can't play their regular music in a, very Confederate, very right wing, worker people, running this dive bar who only play country music. So the only country that the Blues Brothers know is the theme song to a TV show named Rawhide. I think is funny, and just Belushi just kind of like posting up, just doing the chorus, every once in a while. And then once you get into the blues of it all, then it's like, then you see Belushi kind of getting lively, doing flips and shit, kicks and whatever. Yeah, I think there was a lot to be said with Saturday Night Live, but this record that I got is just like kind of like a best of. So you have you have Weekend Update. 2 weekend updates actually, and you have all of the other sketches that are of course televised, but like you see it's I know it's hard to tell, but like you see like all of the sketches like all in the back there, and it's like it's super cool because it's like holding history, like a copy of history, and it's quite something. I've played the record a few times, and as you can tell, like I take pretty good care of it. It's a little dusty, but I take pretty good care of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, like this is just the classic. This is the classic lineup. You know what I mean? Like this was basically what the whole film was. You know what I mean? It's just these guys right here. Thumbnail time. Yeah, I think that the movie did a good job in like showing how great these people are, these legendary actors and actresses, in their own right. I felt like not enough flowers are given to a lot of the people, a lot of the performers, but I guess in the defense of the writers for Saturday Night, I think like you have to make the film just sort of like fast and believable. Except like I feel like the believability kind of stretches thin like a lot because like even with John Belushi like not signing the contract, until like minutes before, and also the writer Dave Zweibel, who like wrote jokes for this like comedian like right next door to the Saturday Night Live building. Lorne Michaels walks into a bar, and this was like the last 5 minutes of the fucking movie. They introduce this writer, who was a legendary writer in Saturday Night Live. It's just like they introduced him in such like a shoehorny way that it was just like, this guy just wrote jokes, and Lorne Michaels comes in and be like, hey, you want a job? It pays nothing. It's probably better than this shit. Just writing for a comedian who doesn't take your jokes, gets paid like, pennies on the dollar. This was 1974 4, I think, right? So, well, what can you do? But yeah, I just felt like that's fucking nuts to just like be like, yeah, it's the last 5 minutes and I'm just here at a bar just chilling and talking to this writer, hiring him, and then starting a show like 2 minutes later, I don't know. Like, I understand the energy of the film, and like it has to be like, constantly grabbing your attention. But there's a lot to be said with all these characters, right? And the actors, like I said, did a phenomenal job. The story, I think, was good, at least for Lauren's story. With him and the character Rachel Senow played, which, by the way, Rachel Senow is phenomenal. Rosie Schuster. Yeah, I think that if you are, like I said, if you are a fan of Saturday Night and you enjoy Saturday Night Live, I think you will love this film just because of like how they captured all of that, timeless, sketch classics, like sprinkled around like, Easter egg style. So if you like notice it, you would see like, the Blend-O-Matic and the, like I said, the llama and Abe Lincoln and shit and all the index cards. Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. And I'm not gonna say like I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. I do like it. I do like the old shit. The newer stuff I have not kept up with at all. Not to say that it's bad or whatever. I haven't had no interest. And Saturday night at 11:30, I mean, I'm doing other shit. I'm sorry. Like, now that I'm in my third, I got other shit going on. But yeah, it didn't make much apparently in the box office. Made only $10 million out of a $25 to $30 million budget. Is that right? 25 to 30 million? Oh, maybe. I don't know. Seems pretty high, but like I said, what do I know? But yeah, I don't know. I just and also Cooper Hoffman who plays as Dick Ebersol, who is like who's another like NBC kind of, higher up, who is like the guy who will bring in the sponsors and, kind of be the producer of the show essentially. And Cooper Hoffman, every time I see him, I cannot not see him as fucking a young Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, he looks like he literally looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman from Twister. If you know Twister and you've seen Philip Seymour Hoffman, he looks dead ass like him in Saturday Night. But like with, of course, Phil had like longer hair and a hat and all that. But like, my God, that kid looks exactly like his dad. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that it's a pretty good film. It's just very inside baseball. You can't really get much from, only like little morsels and little scenes from all these legendary characters of Saturday Night, encapsulated in an hour and a half or like an hour and 40 minutes, Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. And Matthew Rhys, who plays as George Carlin, I didn't even know it was Matthew Rhys, who played George Carlin, and that dude is a great, phenomenal actor. Yeah, he was in The Americans, that crazy ass show with Kerry Russell. So The Americans had Matthew Rhys and Kerry Russell, which is a fantastic show. Perry Mason's also pretty good. Very sad, very depressing. It's a very, very sad show, but really good. If you want to see the talent of Matthew Rhys, and he plays George Carlin, like, I would say the best out of all of them. Like, the dude nailed George Carlin in, like, his voice, his cadence, the way he carries himself, the way that he's, like, cursing at everybody. You know, like, he goes down the stairs, like, as, like, for, like, a dress rehearsal to, like, have introductions. And George Carlin was complaining about, like, you know, coming from the side of like the side access to get onto the stage, go down these stairs onto the stage. And he was like, this is my entrance. Oh, okay. Well, how about this? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like, he nailed it. He nailed it so much. It's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, you know, as I talk about this, I kind of enjoy the film a little more. But again, it's like for those who probably are not familiar with Saturday Night, which I would assume a lot of people aren't, you know, this film is so fast and so frenetic that it just feels like you don't get enough time with these characters, you know, even the ones that were there prominent, like, you know, like Aykroyd or Chevy Chase or Garrett Morris. You kind of want more of it. You know what I mean? And there's no way there's going to be a sequel. If there's a sequel, that would blow my mind. But yeah, I think there should have been just a little bit more time. But that's about it. I got to get out of here, y'all. You know, we're fastly approaching an hour, and I got to eat something. I got to do shit. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, pick up some records. You know, like your boy is. You know. And listen, like, even if you have like a shitty record player or whatever, you can buy like a pretty standard good like portable record player for like $100. You know, it might not sound amazing, but you could probably like have some external speakers on it and stuff that sound just slightly better. But yeah, I mean, you know, records are great. They're little fragments of history. I enjoy it, but what did y'all think of the film? If y'all have seen the film, are you going to see the film? Do you want to watch the film? What say you? You know? But that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I got nothing else. And stay safe out there. Drink plenty of water. Stay warm. Stay bundled up. Double knot your laces. And, you know, watch movies. So I'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye now.